Hey everybody, welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa, and today Johnny is here. Johnny Litecoin. You guys know him and love him. Follow him on Twitter. Give us a like, share this video because we're going to talk about CBDC coming at us like a freight train and what the options are about bringing Litecoin on those payment rails right after this. Welcome back, Johnny. Great to have you.
Hey, thanks for having me back on.
Good looking hat there. I've got one of those.
The underground of Litecoin.
The underground of Litecoin. You guys, you can every Wednesday night on Twitter Spaces, if you're following Litecoin Underground, you can jump on Twitter Spaces, and he's got a great online Twitter Spaces presence there where you can jump in, ask questions, and there's a lot of knowledgeable people there. Johnny's there a lot. Westwood will be there occasionally, and a bunch of the other Litecoin fam. So check that out as well. So you were, I think, in a Spaces, or some people were tagging you and asking you some questions about payments. Kind of tell us about that.
Yeah, they were talking about payments last week. I saw some Bitcoin influencer said that that's where Bitcoiners failed, which, I knew that a few years ago when they were, the Bitcoin community was compromised. There definitely was an agenda working against we the people. The bad guys infiltrated them, and to get away from any type of payments, any type of use. Hodl. That's what the bad guys want. They don't, they great number go up. Great. Now go in and sell. Do it on exchange. Now you owe us the money for
capital gains or whatever. Yeah.
Capital gains or whatever. So, they don't want you thinking about use. So Bitcoiner brought that up, and then Litecoin Underground was chiming in, and that, Joel Valenzuela guy, he was talking about it. He's a big user of crypto. He was big in the Dash community, but that's a guy that, he's like unbanked and stuff. He really like lives it. That guy doesn't just talk.
I don't know who that is. Yeah.
He's some guy. He's like the Desert Lynx on Twitter, I think.
Okay.
And he's like, I think he lives in New Hampshire, so he's kind of connected to like people up there. That was
he lives in New Hampshire, and he's called the Desert Lynx. Okay.
Maybe because Dash was based out of Arizona, like they're.
Okay.
That could be why. I don't know. We'd have to ask him, but either way.
Okay. Maybe I should have him on and ask him.
New Hampshire had a big libertarian community, and they were really big into crypto adoption. There was one town that like every business accepted crypto. So they really were. They have that Free State Project. They really were living it. I mean, it's kind of cold up there. Not a place I'd want to live, but I guess they have.
It's a nice place to visit.
Yeah, I guess they're pretty enough freedom up there, so I respect it. Yeah. No state tax, pretty good like laws for a lot of stuff as far as I've heard. So anyways, they kind of said, he said, hey, I think name an influencer, a person that kind of had some success with payments, and somebody tagged me in it, and then he was like, hey, can you tell us about what worked? I said, well, it's a good topic for a show with Lisa. Why don't we kind of talk about this? We haven't talked about payments for a while.
Yeah. And it's great timing right now because of the big threat of the CBDC right around the corner. They're talking about digital IDs. I saw an app or a promo for a digital passport that they are like, instead of your government paper, they're coming out with a digital passport that's supposed to be quicker and faster to get you approved because there's such a backlog of it. And then there's also this 10-4 thing supposed to be rolling out. I don't know if that's involved with it, but it's a timely subject for sure.
Great subject. So it's kind of something I've gotten away from a little bit. I was really pushing the payments thing big. That's what brought me into crypto, brought me into Litecoin. I was working in the payments business and I just kind of got burnt out, and there was a lot of issues. So I said, well, we need to fix this. And there was a lot of synthetic identity theft, a lot of fraud, a lot of merchant chargebacks. Now, when the merchants, the businesses, that's what I mean by the merchants, get chargebacks, what a chargeback is, it's when a credit card payment's processed, the business receives the money, and then at a later date, they get the money taken back from them. They always call me and yell and scream. And I said, well, I had nothing to do with the chargeback. I'm the person that put the equipment in there, but they yell and scream. They don't get it. They don't understand it. How could this happen?
Right.
I didn't make up the credit card rules. That's the rules of the card brands and accepting.
They don't understand you're separate from, yeah.
They don't understand it. So I was always kind of in the middle of it. And I never wanted the merchants to get these chargebacks. For me, it was a nuisance and a nightmare. And it just was kind of the kind of thing where we've lost customers because they've gotten chargebacks, because they don't understand that it's not us initiating the chargeback. The card holder has to initiate it. A lot of times they would happen from fraud. They'd always blame us. They said, well, you did nothing to protect us. And it's like, well, that's just the rules of accepting payments. It doesn't matter who you could be processing payments with, the friggin' Senate. You know what I mean? If they were a processor, it don't matter. You're going to lose that money.
We don't recommend that, by the way.
That's the rules. Yeah, we definitely don't recommend that. So, not that they're a processor. I was using that as a crazy example. Yeah. So, anyways, I got turned on to Litecoin and Bitcoin as a payment option. The thing that went off in my head was actually my buddy Greg. Greg comes into the show sometime in the chat.
Yeah.
Greg's a really good friend of mine. Greg works in the payments business. And Greg kept telling me about Bitcoin and Litecoin. He was very big into Litecoin. This was 2017. And I kept kind of like being like, I would listen to him. It was interesting. And he said to me one day, he goes, look, there's no central authority with this thing. And he showed me the back end of a transaction. It was like a $1,000 transaction. He said this was sent across the country. And I said, wait a minute, how'd you get this data? And you can see the transaction? We can't get information on our own customers' transactions. This was a particular day that I was on hold forever. They transferred me back to myself, the credit card company. And I was trying to get to the bottom of it. I waited on hold for an hour. Different department. Now I'm in the middle of it. I'm just trying to help the people out. Obviously, this is costing me money because I'm taking my time. I'm not getting paid. I'm just doing it because I feel bad. I got transferred back to myself and I lost it. I broke a bunch of stuff in my office. I broke a bunch of chairs. I actually broke the table that was in there for a while. I mean, I smashed it to pieces. I threw a chair against the wall. Hole got put in the wall.
Johnny was frustrated.
The table was crazy. I mean, I just started punching this table, kicking it. I actually had a mental breakdown. I went insane. And
when you meet yourself on the phone for the first time, that could happen.
And when you don't like the banks and they transfer you back like a 2-hour wait, so I said, oh my God, this is the answer. I ran around the office. I told everyone, you're out of business. We're all out of business. I said, this thing is going to take us out. They said, what do you mean we're out of business? I said, not now, but in time. I said, this is an invention in payments. I saw that right away. So I wanted to buy Litecoin and Bitcoin right away, but I wanted to talk to clients about it and say, well, now people don't have to blame me. I have an answer for people, because people will call into sometimes and say, look, we got a shady situation. but we want to sell the product, but we're nervous about taking a credit card payment. What do we do? So I said, well, now I have an answer for them. Accept Bitcoin or accept Litecoin as the payment form. And now you don't have to worry about getting a chargeback. So it really has a real use in the payments world. It solves a problem. There's in the traditional, the legacy payment space, there's no way to take a payment that's final. People say, oh, Visa's so fast, MasterCard's so fast. No, it's not. It doesn't settle for 6 months, fully settle. When I mean by final settlement, meaning how long do you have to wait until the business is assured to get that money? And even after 6 months, I've seen disputes occur after 1 year.
Wow.
They rig the system for wealthy.
They could still go in and pull it back. Yeah.
I've seen them rig the system so bad that there was one of these disputes occurred after 6 months. And not only did they give the cardholder the money back, now when that happens in the legacy system, the credit card system, the business has time to fight it and to try to get their money back. So they can at least try to get their money back. They rigged the system where they put the dispute through 3 times on the same charge. So the business responded to one of these disputes, lost on a technicality because they didn't respond to the other 2, even though they were for the same charge. They did it to rig the system because
they did it to flood them with work. Yeah.
And so it'd be too confusing. And so they beat them on a technicality for this wealthy cardholder. So I was seeing all this stuff. So I said, oh my God, this is the thing. This is the answer. So the problem is we have the powers to be working against us. People say, why is crypto adoption, if Litecoin's so good, well, why is it not everywhere? Why is everybody not using it? It's simple. We're swimming upstream. We're swimming against the current. They are doing everything to fight us. So I was working on an app a few years ago that could have went into a very popular point of sale. I said, well, let's present it before we waste a lot of money ahead of time to see if we can get the app approved. And they said, no, we're not going to approve the app. Point blank, the app's not going to get approved. We're not going to put a payment type in there that competes with the card brands. We're not going to piss off banks. So it's a no-go.
They must have took Gary's class at MIT.
And that's why I kind of knew at that moment. I knew before that, but I really knew then. I said, we have to treat Litecoin and crypto, but mainly Litecoin, is Litecoin really has liquidity. It's a Bitcoin-like crypto asset. Some people say it's binary compatible with Bitcoin, meaning if you code Bitcoin into something, you could easily code Litecoin into it.
Oh, okay.
So I said, well, we really need to treat this stuff like cash and not a payment network, like a currency. So people tout Bitcoin or Litecoin. They say, well, it's a currency and it's a payment network. And it's even, the money's programmable. You could write a smart contract into there. You could do certain things with it. Yeah. Which, if it's a CBDC, programmable money's bad because they'll use it against us. They'll make the money time out on you. But in some respects, on a decentralized currency, a programmable money could be a good thing. There could be good aspects of it why it's programmable. But either way, I said, well, let's not look at the payment network aspect. Let's look at the currency aspect of it. And now let's let people accept Litecoin or Bitcoin and just accept it like it's this stuff. Now, the problem is in people's thick heads that if we set the system up to accept Litecoin, we put a payment button in there, and then we say put a sign up, a QR code up, or have a wallet ready to go, they say, well, where's the system telling us the green check mark, the payment was good?
Right.
And I said, what about with this stuff? How do you do that? They said, well, we got to count it. I said, yeah, same thing with Litecoin. You just have to verify that it came in. It's actually easier. You don't have to count this stuff. And people say, oh, no, I need the system to give me the green check mark. And people can't get past that in their minds.
Yeah.
People are very they have dumbed down the public so much that that's a very hard concept for people to think about. So that's the problem with a high volume business of the verification if we treat Litecoin like it's cash. For the business that's not high volume and that does big transactions, a jewelry store, maybe a tattoo place, a place that sells cars. That's easy because you're not getting transactions all day long. You don't
not as frequent.
You don't use that. They usually don't use a register system. They use their phone. They take Venmo. They take payments through the phone. They might have a credit card payment on their phone. So that's easy to do. We say, well, here's a crypto wallet. Take the payment in that way. So where are we now? We're kind of in this weird place where they've completely scared the public about crypto. They've tarnished it. They've muddied the waters. So people say, oh, that's a scam. Oh, didn't that go up in price? Didn't it crash?
Well, first they said it was associated with drugs and trafficking, with the Silk Road thing. They tried to make it dirty and bad.
They did that at first.
Yeah. Then it was all the scammy and it's too risky and it's too volatile and all that.
Yeah.
Then came all the scams with the rug pulls and the Bitfinex and even all the way up as recently as the FTX stuff and all that. So where are we now with in this crypto journey of maturing?
We're in purgatory. We're in limbo. We're in a crypto purgatory because adoption stalled. They won't approve. Actually, they've taken most good things tools away from us. So they've basically hit us with bombs. Basically, they've said, okay, you guys have these tools that are good for normies to use, good for the public to use. Let's take all that away from you. Let's put the media against you. Let's put the public against you. But the bottom line is the Litecoin network continues to clear blocks every 2.5 minutes. It's never went down. It still works. We still have Venmo. We still have PayPal. We still have Coinbase. We still have some popular options. Now, Venmo and PayPal are extremely popular. Venmo being the most popular peer-to-peer payments app out there. And Litecoin is integrated. So if you're going to get a Venmo transaction and it's a larger transaction and you don't know the person, you're much better off saying, hey, can you pay me in Litecoin into my Venmo? I have Venmo.
So even inside Venmo, when you have them send it in Litecoin in Venmo, it still has the same properties. They can't do the chargeback. They can't do all of that. Okay, I didn't know that.
If they send you cash or if they send you fiat in Venmo.
Okay,
so,
I didn't know
so you're much better off saying, hey, I have Venmo, you have Venmo. Can you purchase Litecoin and send it to me? Now, the issue would be the clearance time. They may say, sure, no problem, I'll do that. Show me how to do it. But it might take them a certain amount of time for the payment to clear where they could then send out a on-chain transaction. Now, I would wonder if they could send you Litecoin as a user of Venmo, and then they're sending it that way, if that would be a faster process. I would have to test that out.
Yeah.
But so that would be and again, you'd say, well, the person might say, well, I don't want Litecoin. I want fiat dollars because I have to pay my bills, or I need the fiat to then respend. Sure, no problem. Once you get the Litecoin, sell it. And then you get your precious fiat that you worship so dearly. And then you can, but at least you're assured that you're going to keep the fiat. You know, a big scam with Venmo and Cash App and all these apps, somebody contacts you and says, hey, I'm going to send you a large sum of money. Can you purchase something for me or do something like that? Or I'll let you keep a piece of it. And then they dispute that initial transaction, and then you sent them back. So say somebody sends you $5,000 and they say, hey, you only got to send me back $4,500, but I need you to do this for me. Okay, wow, that sounds great. You send them back $4,500. Now they dispute the initial $5,000. Now you're beat for $4,500. You might call.
You could try to dispute it, but you have to be able to prove it.
You might try to fight that dispute. And they say, well, yeah, it was a fraudulent user. So you're lost out on that $4,500.
It's on you.
It's on you.
Yeah.
It's on you. So, you know, that's why the only thing I trust as a payments processor, if you get a system from me and ask me, Johnny, is this system safe to take payments? I'm going to tell you no. And people get really mad at me sometimes. They say, well, you told me it's not safe to take payments. I say it's not. Anybody that puts a credit card system in and tells you it is, they're lying.
Yeah, they're lying.
Or they don't understand. They said, no. They told me no. They told me, yeah, it's fine to take it. I said, they don't understand the rules. They're the bank. Of course, they're going to tell you that. We all have the same rules. 180 days to dispute a thing. I'm just telling you the truth. So I've had a lot of people get really angry with me for just telling the truth.
There's sharks in the water. Yeah, can you swim in the water? Yes. There's also sharks in the water.
Yeah. Then somebody else says, no, it's safe. There's no sharks in the water. And they say, well, I'm going to swim where they said to swim because they said there's no sharks in the water. And I'm like, no, there is sharks in the water.
There's sharks in the water.
They just can't see them where they're at.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe that's
I know there's sharks in the water, and I'm just telling you about it. But the public likes to be lied to. People like to be lied to. It's why people get so taken by the gimmick in sales. The gimmick works. My customers call me up all the time. Somebody came in here and they told me this. And you told me that. I said, well, that's a sales pitch.
They're only calling you because they have a suspicion that it's not true. So their internal register is telling them this is not true. I'm going to go ask Johnny, the guy I trust. Johnny, this guy told me this something. What do you think? Do you have a question about that? Do you think that might be a lie? You know, oh my gosh, like Westwood says, trust yourselves, people. You know, I mean, this is just incredible.
And then in the payments world, it's not as prevalent now, but there's something called a leasing scam that goes on.
Oh, okay.
So people I've had this happen to a lot of my clients that left me and went somewhere else. And they called me up and said, oh, I'm leaving you or whatever. It's like a breakup. Okay, I'll get my equipment back, I guess.
Okay.
Like, shed a tear for you or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Then they call me and say, oh, I'm getting billed this weird charge. And I said, well, yeah, it looks like whoever you went with is leasing you. Oh, I didn't sign up for a lease. Yeah, you did. No, I didn't. Yeah, you did. They're taking money out of your bank account. It says leasing, right? Then what happens is they try to fight this lease. Whoever signed them up is out like a thief in the night. Because when you're a payments guy or payments person and you get somebody to sign a lease, and a lot of times they forge the lease paperwork. It's not even the customer that signed off on it. I've actually presented leasing companies with information that convicted felons were the ones that signed them up. They were convicted on forgery charges and crimes of that nature, and that the lease was fake. They said, we don't care. They're stuck in the lease for 48 months or 60 months. End of story. And it's too small. It falls under the threshold where anybody would look at it. So you can call whatever 3-letter agency you want. They're going to say, well, we're not looking at that. It's a couple $1,000. You know what I mean? You'd have to really have evidence that this person is doing this on a grand scale. And then you don't know, usually there are other customers, so you can't.
Yeah. So you can't, they are in a micro transaction kind of way. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a real gray. So that's a big thing, is a leasing scam. And then the worst is, I say, well, you can always come back to my service. Well, no, now I'm stuck leasing this equipment. I said, well, why are you going to keep?
So they stay with them?
They stay with them. And they can't get that through their thick head.
Oh my God.
I was charging you less. And they say, yeah, but I'm leasing this equipment. I say, yeah,
but there's a country song, Stand By Your Man. There's like a Patsy Cline.
You're doing business now with a criminal. Yeah. And I'm charging you less. But they're like, no, but I was leasing this equipment. I mean, I really lost a lot of faith and credibility in the American public after doing business with them for so long. And I do feel bad for people, but just the stuff people fall for.
Well, that easy button is that whole marketing campaign of the easy button and people wanting the easy button and the dumbing down of America. And I know a lot of it is, has been calculated or, on purpose and chemically pushed in, our fluoride and programming and the television, all that stuff. So I know it's not like we are a victim of it, but we have got to push back on it. Like we've got to stop taking the easy way out, and we've got to do the hard things, and we've got to start challenging our brains and start critically thinking and stand up for ourselves and stop just being just the way it is, Oh my gosh.
It's a shame. So we're in a crypto and Litecoin purgatory for payments. It works great. You won't get fraud. You won't get chargebacks. You could use an easy to use app like Venmo, convert it to your precious fiat, but it takes a little bit of effort, and the American public just wants easy. So if you want easy, you're dealing with the bad guys, and then you're going to be at the whim of the bad guys. So you need to take a little initiative. We know that the problem is the public just wants easy. So we're in this purgatory. I'm obviously still really bullish on Bitcoin and Litecoin as far as price goes. Use, however, I'd love to see more use. It's just getting, and people are so addicted to easy. Every day that goes by, people get a little lazier and a little lazier and a little lazier. Like when I worked at the mall 20 years ago at a GNC, and it was in a bad area, and I had to bring, there was a lot of cash then. I had to bring a bag of cash into like a bank drop every night.
Oh God.
Someone would have said to me, you could look and verify on a few screens that payments came in instead of doing this bank drop in a dangerous area. I'd say, well, sign me up for that. And a lot of people would have said, sign me up for that. That sounds really easy and convenient. But now we've gotten so dumbed down that people just don't want to think. And a lot of these business owners, when you talk to them, they say they don't want to know stuff. They don't want to think. They admit this. And it's like really frustrating. So
it's insane to me. Yeah.
I'm super bullish on the people that know and want freedom. buy Bitcoin, buy Litecoin. It's decentralized, non-state money. It still works. It's flawless. It works better than ever. Litecoin works better than ever. Every day that goes by, Litecoin gets better. It gets stronger. But public adoption,
only those that want to be adults and take personal responsibility for themselves and get out from the slavery system will choose a tool like this. So the tool is there. It's ready for those that want to choose. Get on that lifeboat, like Ben says. So
I think we end on this. Tell people we can show you how to get into heaven and get out of purgatory, but you gotta want it. You gotta want to get into heaven. And getting into heaven in this case is really easy. You just have to do a couple things, but you got to take a little initiative, and then you're by the pearly gates.
The gate's wide open, but you have to step in.
Yes.
You have to walk through it.
You have to walk through it. Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, Johnny, thanks so much for everything. Great to see you today. You're looking buff, looking amazing.
Thank you, Lisa.
Bitcoin
Thanks,
daddy,
guys.
But we know you're in the Litecoin fam. And thanks again for sharing that with us. So we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks, guys.
Take care.